Martin from the Philippines. We're here in Real Talk Lifeline. So, in this episode, this live that you're watching, it's called Near Death Experience Realizations. Why? Because why not? This is what Real Talk Lifeline is about. It's about real, raw, authentic conversations, experiences, and tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people I feel and I hear they don't talk about. So this one is based on my personal experience because that's all that I can share from my life. And sometimes I also do draw out and share the experiences of other people who have shared their lives with me as well. So near death experience from the very start of this live, comment down below if you ever have experienced a near death experience, NDE, or maybe you have witnessed a person very close to you, and what have you learned from it? What was the impact on your life, or did it have any at all? So, this one to start off, I'm going to share my screen because I'll narrate very recent events. As of this day, April 6th, it's a Sunday, April 6th, 2025. I'm still in recovery actually. I'm recovering from a recent food poisoning incident. So I'm going to share my screen over here. Oops. In 1 second, right now. If you could see it right there, let me adjust so you see it a little better. There you go. So recent activities, I'm going to just go from the start. So from 2 days ago, or 2 days ago over here. So April 4, this is Friday morning. I was okay. So around 6 a.m., that's when it suddenly kicks in. Uh, Pardon, guys, if you're gonna, in a moment, this is gonna blow up. So it's a little graphic. So there you go. That's the shower, and that's like me vomiting in there. So that's the first vomit, 6:29 a.m. Later on, I vomit a second time in the shower, and I was trying to tough it out. So I thought, hey, maybe I can just get through this on my own. This is not a big deal. Very shortly, I will also share with you something. So this is not the first time it happened. And later on, towards noontime, as a last resort, I really didn't want to be rushed to a clinic, be a burden to other people, ask for help, or have any unnecessary expenses for those who can relate. So I was trying to tough it out on my own. Around afternoon, it was getting worse to the point where my body started shivering. And by the way, guys, here in the Philippines, it's that time it's April 4, 2025. It's summertime over here. So it's like the hottest season or time of the year. It was reaching a point where I was like shivering. So my body started shaking, going into shock. My body started feeling pain, whole body pain, and then I started crying. So that was the point where I reached out to my family for help, and you know, all ego aside, to be asked to ask like, "Hey, can you bring me to a clinic?" like that. So it was that bad. And then up here, just fast forwarding, I was hooked up to an IV, so the drip for around 2 to 3 hours. The very uncomfortable part I'll share here is this was my second time to experience it. Prior to this, I experienced a similar experience in a clinic overnight where I was hooked up to an IV intravenous, the needle, the drip. And this was maybe more than 10 years ago, more than a decade ago. But similarly, very strange, when the doctor hooked it up on me, the first few minutes, I felt a lot of anxiety. So, for those who can relate or whoever experienced this, it's like there's a needle and a line injecting coffee straight into your veins. And they ask you to just lie down still. So, what helped me get through, because I got the feeling of anxiety building up, all this, you know, unease in my body. And I was just on a bed, right? It was driving me crazy. Like, it's like your brain is about to explode, like overwhelmed. So I tried doing breath work. So I learned that in more recent years. And it wasn't helping, just being very open and honest here. So what helped me get through that super random was, I believe it was my dad and my brother was helping. So my dad came back with a blanket you could see over there by my legs because my feet, bare feet, were exposed. They were shivering. And that blanket helped calm me down. And I was able to just lay on my side for the next 2 hours from that point on. And I got through it with grace. So after that, after this, so the day after, I was pretty much bedridden the whole day. So I was just drinking, like sipping cold water, recovering. And then my neck, my body was getting sore. I was just lying down the whole day. My neck was getting stiff. So my head was also like starting to hurt. So it took effort, but at night I got up and I started walking. So that was like my next milestone in recovery, taking a walk just outside the house around the block. So today my next milestone was to drive a short distance because it's Sunday. So tomorrow I have a branch meeting in Makati, so that's about an hour drive away. So I want to be in a condition like, can I drive a car while I'm in recovery and then walk a certain distance, right? So today is like a second day of recovery, still just eating soft food, soup, stuff like that. And then here's another thing I'll share on the side. So a realization too is this is the third time actually that I noted in my calendar. So December 27, I think this was the first time I experienced some form of food poisoning or really bad stomach pain. And I got through it. It was pretty bad, but I got through it. And then the second time was Feb 14. So like 2 months after. That one, it was also really intense. So I took, I wanted to get through it all natural. So finally at some point I took some medicine, Buscopan, like some medicine for your stomach. The moment I took it, when I took that pill from my dad, I vomited. Like I took the pill, drank some water, walked to the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna vomit. And it actually helped, but it was intense. So I was able to get through that experience just at home. Now this is the third time it happened. And even after vomiting 2 times already, and then on the way out of the house, when I was finally like, let go of all ego, like I'm gonna go to a clinic, I'm gonna get some help. I vomited a third time in the garage. So this is like the most progressively worse one. And it's all like 2 months apart, and they all happened on Friday mornings. So this is very odd or strange to me because the dinner the night before, when these happened, I live in the same house with my dad, my mom, and my brother, and we eat the same food. So they ate pretty much the same food that I did. And maybe if there was some other thing, it was just like an orange or maybe something else like that, some fruit. So it's odd that among these three times, it's only me who was the one experiencing these food poisoning symptoms. So I'll stop the sharing because before it gets goes down the intrigue lane like that. Because a trusted friend of mine commented like, probably not poison but a curse. If it's that frequent, who could have been pissed at you enough to do that? So these are just side comments, of course. I'm just open and listening. And even the waitress today, when I went out, drove by to a nearby cafe or restaurant, the waitress who found out, who was listening and said, "Oh, that's expensive. The medical bill for that, the recent one was around 8,000 plus pesos, around 150 US dollars. So that's expensive by Philippine standards if you're going to a private clinic." So, and if the waitress said that, I would agree with her. Now, what was the alternative? The doctor said, if I don't do that, if I don't get hooked up to the IV, the alternative is to go to an ER, an emergency room. That means going to a hospital outside. And instead of spending 8,000 pesos, you're probably going to spend double or more, 20,000. And they're going to do a number of other tests, right? Because you're paying for that emergency room charge. And then you're going to end up paying again for the medicine and the procedure and the extras. So again, I don't necessarily make the best decision on cost alone. So I went to the clinic because if I didn't, if my ego got the best of me, like, no, I'll just do this by myself and tough it out. I felt like I was gonna die already at that point. And for those who were listening in earlier, I already experienced it 2 times prior where I was able to tough it out on my own in the house. And I didn't have to go to a clinic, didn't have to spend extra like that. So it got worse and it was very humbling. So what are my realizations? And people again watching the live or the replay, I welcome yours as well. So Real Talk Lifeline is a platform where I wanted to create this space where we can talk about these things because sometimes we can't even talk about this with our own family. Sometimes we have a hard time talking about these things with our friends, or sometimes we don't even have a chance to talk about this with other people in our life. So, this near death experience, some realizations that I would share from this is, there one side is the ego thoughts, which you already saw a bit, and you can see like the evidence, the proof, the hard facts. Is someone out to kill me? How come it's only me in the family who's getting this food poisoning? Um, the waitress earlier said something like, "Who would do such a thing to you?" If like the comment was about uh someone cursing. Here in the Philippines, they call that kulam. Like there, someone's casting a curse, right, or something on you. So because she knows me to a degree, and maybe people who know me on a closer level will get why she says this. But like, who would target me as a curse, right? Because you're not a bad person. That's what she said. And you know what? I'm not perfect. Maybe I made enemies out there. There's always going to be a hater. I learned. I personally am experiencing that even in Real Talk Lifeline or at work or wherever in life. I have experienced that. So she said, baka inggit. So in English, that means maybe someone is jealous, bitter. So like that. And it sucks to be the target of that. Now, my reply to her was, maybe that's true, but I also believe in karma. Now, when I say karma, I don't mean this like some superstitious bullshit. I understood karma as a law of the universe. So, how is that relevant here? If I ever wish ill on someone, like if I wish someone was dead, or if I wish someone to get sick, or I wish someone harm, it will come back to me. And it usually comes back worse, like 10 times or more. And if you don't believe me, you could test it yourself. So whatever that is, kulam, cursing, do do an injustice to someone and then see how it feels after. And then see if you get karma or it comes back to you worse. In my experience, it does. So I would never wish that on anyone. So if somebody did wish it onto me, that's beyond my control. So the other side of the realization is this. So if there's the ego side, so those thoughts, is someone trying to kill me? Is someone out there scheming against me? Right? It's out of my control. So the other side of the near-death experience realization is acceptance. There was a point where I was hooked up on the IV, and I've before actually getting rushed to the clinic, where I felt like I was gonna die. Like that's how close I was already. So I mean that in a good way, in a form of acceptance or actually feeling it. There are some people who even go on ceremonies or rites of passage. You know, they go out on a solo journey. They they do a road trip like on a motorcycle from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, all alone by themselves, just to realize these lessons, right? So, pardon, let me fix the camera, but I'm still here. Don't worry, guys. There you go. So, there are people who go on ceremonies, journeys, or experiences just to reach that point of near death. And I hope this is done in a responsible, like a calculated way. So this one just happened out of nowhere, this recent food poisoning incident, third time already. So it's it's a realization of preparing for death for me, that's what I would say. And even if it comes at an unexpected time, I would say the timing wasn't that bad even. So I just renewed my gun registrations the day prior. I took care of a very big expense for the year. Just being a responsible gun owner. Friday. So at least my commitments that day, I was able to renegotiate or handle. Saturday was like an open day for recovering. And then today is Sunday, getting back up, driving for the first time. May have to go to the office in Makati tomorrow. So the timing maybe was the best that the way it happened. So the realization there is, yeah, it's more of acceptance, and the ego side is always there. It's like two sides together. Like it's always there at the back of my mind. But this is why I do Real Talk Lifeline. So I'm going back to the other side, the higher purpose, whether it's acceptance of death, whether it is being able to talk about these things with you guys over here in Real Talk Lifeline, you know, creating that space where we're allowed to talk about stuff. So I believe that's a key part of shadow work. That's just a term I use. These are topics or things that society or family or people in general, they don't really talk about. I try to talk about this with friends, with family, with people in general, and they just don't want to talk about it. So I find it very useful, very liberating and enlightening to be able to talk about these things, because I can learn from you too. So if you learn anything from what I just shared in this live, comment down below the what was the best lesson you got from it, or even better, if you have a personal experience that you want to share, a near death experience, and then this is what you learned from it, comment down below. So if you enjoy these lives, comment live down below. If you want to join me for a topic like this, where we go live together, it can be about any topic you want to talk about. Usually here in Real Talk Lifeline, these are topics that people usually don't want to talk about it. It could be death, it could be addictions, it could be things we're not allowed to talk about. But the best way to overcome it is to face it. It's to just overcome the awkwardness, just face it head on. And that's what we do here in Real Talk Lifeline. And then lastly, if you feel like you want to reach out for help, but you want to do private, like one-on-one coaching, then comment clarity call down below. So I'll reach out back to you and then we can do a one on one in private if you want. Thank you. I love you. And I will see you next time.